Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Bam, we're live.
Pow! Love the ending.
Love
Right?
the ending.
All right, everybody. Hey, listen, we're here with Mario Fratto, and he's running in the 24th district, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I have Bidenitis sometimes, and my brain freezes. But anyways,
No.
this is something new we're trying. We're going to try a Q&A with Mario Fratto. So if anybody out there has any questions, go ahead and throw the questions out there. We'll pop them up. And Mario, you might have to come back like the next couple of days and review the video to see if any more questions pop up, because you know that how people watch it several days on or whatever.
Right.
You could always come back and answer the questions. But so this is gonna be wild. We're gonna try this and see how it works out. Let me get to the comments. All right. Okay. So, all right.
Before the comments come in, you got anything you want to say, Mario? Introduce yourself, what you're doing, where you've been, what you're up to.
Yeah, so it's good to be back with you guys. Thanks for having me on. I like how the show
Absolutely.
keeps evolving. You know, you're on a new platform now. You're crossing over. So did you say? I think you said you can get onto Twitter or X now too. But you got Facebook and YouTube going. So it's really cool. This is a good platform I used to use. So good job getting that going. Yeah, I'm still running here. We're waiting on some things, you know, as far as New York State to make sure they finalize these maps. I'm in New York 24. This is my second time running up here. You know, I really am disgusted with the way things are going in the country right now. Like a lot of people are, I think they're looking at specifically the Republican Party, at least us Republicans are, and saying, why do we have such a divide within the party where you look a perfect example, this Biden Pelosi budget that they just voted, that continuing resolution to keep that spending going at those same levels for those same programs that they're funding. You had 107 Republicans vote with all the Democrats and 106 Republicans vote as Republicans. So by one vote, you actually had a majority of Republicans voting with all Democrats to fund that budget. You'll never see a split like that in the Democrat Party. But with us, we got half. And in this race, my opponent, Claudia Tenney, was one of those 107 who voted with the Democrats. Now, had she taken the right vote and voted with the Republicans, it would have been 107, 106 the other way. And we would have had a majority of Republicans voting for Republicans. So it's crazy to think, but that's what's happening right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild, and people don't realize it. But I see we got a question here from Steve. Hi, Steve. I hope all is well. Top issue of the day, he says, please contrast your position on illegal immigration and the border with Claudia Tenney's position. Great question. I think that right now, the way the country is, we need to make sure that the first thing we do is get anybody out who's here illegally at the same time that we're securing that border. Because even if we secure the border, if we're not working on getting these people out, they're saying 8 million people. And if they're saying 8 million have come in since Biden's taken office, I'm guessing it's more like 15 to 20 million. And with that amount of people here that don't belong in this country, that the first thing they did is break our laws, they don't need to be here. Claudia Tenney, if you watch any videos or her position on that, she says, I don't think we want to send anyone back just because they're here illegally. I don't know what kind of statement that is. I don't know why you're trying to make light of it by saying just because, but we absolutely need to send them back. It's not a just because, it's because we want to send you back because you're here illegally. Full stop. That's why we say illegal aliens. We're not going with the undocumented to try and soften this for people. Say, you know, oh, people who, like it's just an error in some sort of paperwork. You know, these are people who literally broke into the country. So got to send them back. And then you need to secure the border. And if you're voting for spending, like I just said, which Tenney has voted for, that gives the Democrats everything they want and funds their exact budget, and you don't make any demands, there's nothing for border security in there, I'm not going to vote for that. So I'm not going to vote for anything that doesn't secure the border, but you're going to fund the IRS that's attacking everyday citizens and anybody who's right of center politically. You're going to fund the weaponized justice system that's coming after President Trump and lots of others. And you're not going to secure the border. And then a final note I'd say is that if somehow you happen to get into this country after we secure that border and after we've already deported people, you come in, the last thing we're going to do is give you any sort of financial assistance once you get here. And just back in September, I believe it was the 28th or right around the end of the month this past year, 2023, Claudia Tenney voted with a minority of Republicans, with all Democrats, to give funding assistance to any illegals that come into the country. So not only are we not sending them back, according to her, because they're here illegally, we're going to give them money. We're going to fund them, and you're going to incentivize them to keep coming. I mean, they're not stupid. You know, you can say whatever you want about them, but they're smart enough to know there's somebody giving away something. They're letting people walk in and then handing them money. They're going to show up. And she voted for that, which is really sick, considering she had said multiple times, we need to stop incentivizing illegals. So she knows what we want to hear. She knows what the right thing to do is. She's just not doing it.
Just not doing it.
I'm not going to stand for it.
They call that lip
Bottom
service.
line.
They call that lip service.
Yeah.
They just speak out what they want. All right, we have people coming in. People, if you have questions, throw them out there. Let's get the questions.
Let me ask you, Mario, while we got a quick
Mario,
break here.
some.
Mario, you're talking about sending the illegals back, which I 100% agree with you. How many millions of dollars is it going to take to find all these illegals now that they are everywhere in the United States? They're just not in one park here or one park. They're everywhere. They're in every community, every township. They're everywhere. So you gotta have manpower to locate all these individuals, which is going to cost millions of dollars, and millions of dollars in transportation fees. Where would that money come from?
Great
The
question.
taxpayers?
I think something, and look, it's one of those things where you have to also make it that they don't want to stay here. They call it self-deporting, self-deportation. Where if we have to imagine if we went to China or somewhere we didn't speak the language, where we didn't have a lot in common with the culture, and they said, well, you can't work here because we're using E-Verify. We're not going to give you a dime to help you eat. You're not allowed to enter places without ID. And by the way, we're not giving you an ID. So if you want to go into a bar, you want to get a drink, you want to go to the store and get something, you can't get a credit card, can't get a bank account, can't get a driver's license, right? So you have to make it that it's basically unlivable for somebody that's here illegally. So I think that's a cheap, easy fix that's a starting point, and it's the right thing to do, to say, so how are you going to get by? And then we need to start taxing the money that they're sending back to these countries. So any money that's coming out of the United States that's going back to these countries south of the border, and not only south of the border, but Africa, China. I mean, a lot of the people they're grabbing there aren't even from Central and South America anymore.
Right.
They're coming in from all over the world. We
Kenya,
need to tax
everywhere.
those. Exactly. So if we see money getting sent back to Kenya, we're taking 10 or 15% right off the top. And that money is going to go into a fund that's only used for deportations and border security. So they can pay to send themselves back. And I think that's what we need to do.
That's a great answer. I'll tell you that. I'm all for that 100%. Go ahead, Charles.
All right. No, so what I'm going to do is, while in between questions, I'm going to throw in comments what people are commenting on also, right? I'm going to do that. But Mario, I wanted to ask you, give the opinion on the whole Claudia Tenney being endorsed by what? Nikki Haley? Is that?
Oh yeah. So
right,
Nikki Haley.
I'm going to throw in what people are commenting also along with the questions. All right.
Yes. So yeah, just the gist of it is Nikki Haley had endorsed Claudia Tenney. She actually backed her in our primary and has a PAC that she backed Claudia Tenney with. And then the night that Claudia Tenney beat me in the primary, Nikki Haley congratulated her that night and told her, on to November or whatever it is. And she had been, I believe, Claudia had been about to endorse Nikki Haley.
Hey,
And then
Dad.
we put out this video showing everybody how Haley was backing Tenney, how Tenney had said she wants to hear from all the other candidates before she decides. And Trump has been running for 14 months now, and she still hadn't endorsed him. And the only candidate that was even remaining at that point, realistically, was Nikki Haley. And she's still waiting. We dropped that video, and the next day, after over a year, she endorsed Donald Trump.
Wow.
And now she just nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize. And I'm thinking, here's a guy you wouldn't even vote for 3 weeks ago, and now you want him to. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this is, and I think the people see through this stuff. I think
Mhm.
President Trump sees through it. He's
Yeah.
thinking, man, everything I did for you, you didn't endorse me for over a year, and now you want me to get the Nobel Prize? That's a heck of a flip.
Hey, Brett.
Vote Mario Fratto. Thanks, Brett. Guys, I appreciate
Isn't it
it.
wild? Isn't the insanity's wild when it comes to that stuff? I watch it as like,
Yeah.
what? Yeah, people are reading into it. People are reading into it and are seeing what's going on, which is great, because people need
Yeah.
to. And
They're finally waking up.
not for nothing, but like with
Mhm.
Mario Fratto, do your research on Mario. Do your research on Claudia. I don't like putting people down, but the BS is the BS, and you can read it. Like we talked about before, Mario. Before it's like the used car salesman pitch does not work anymore.
Nope.
Right. Exactly. We're waking up to that, and it's like you want to buy an extended warranty, and it's like, no, I just want a car that runs. I don't
Yeah.
need, I don't need you keep breaking and saying we're going to fix it this time, and that's why I say that Congress has a 26% approval rating. That's lower than Joe Biden, and yet we'll send 98% of the same people back to Congress
Yeah.
and expect something different. It's just not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. Not at all. Hey, Mario, the last time you were on, you gave us a website. I had a lot of questions, not on the page itself, but my personal Facebook DMs. I had a lot of questions on you about the votes. There was a website that you mentioned last time. You can actually go to the government website and look at
I
all of
believe
how
it's like
people vote.
clerk. Yep, it's the House clerk vote, and it's like the roll call. So I don't know if it's clerk.house.gov, but if you just Google like House clerk roll call,
Roll
that will
call.
give you the clerk's site, and it'll give you all the roll call votes by most recent. So you can, if you go there like right now and Congress is in session, you'll see there might have been a vote at 6 o'clock, and then you can see what it was, and you can see exactly by party, or you can type in your member's name and see how they voted. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't do this. And in fact, I was talking to a Republican chair, and I was saying I'd like the endorsement of their committee, and they said, well, why should they endorse you over Claudia Tenney? Like, she seems to be doing a good job. And I named about 4 or 5 of these votes just within the last year since she's
Wow.
been our congresswoman. And they said, oh, well, you need to tell people about this. I didn't know about those votes.
Nobody
And that's the
does.
thing. Nobody's going and looking. They assume that their representative votes the right way. They
Right.
assume that if they're in a district that they're going to vote the values of the people there. So if they said yesterday there was a vote on to give money to illegal aliens, you're just going to be like, oh, well, Claudia wouldn't vote for that, right? Well,
Right.
that's not true, and then you go look, and then you're kind of floored, but by then it's too late. The damage is done, and it passes,
Right. Right.
and that's the problem. So I
Right.
think we
Well,
got to stay on top of it and put more pressure.
absolutely. I agree with you. And that's perfect that you put that out there so people can go and research for themselves and see that you're not just putting her down just to put her down. You're telling the truth. She's actually voting with the Democrats 90% of the time or
Right.
80% of the time. You know what I mean? She's actually taking their
Yeah.
side as far as voting goes, and the public can go
And
see for themselves.
and it's the 2 most important issues that matter right now. I mean, everybody's got something, and look, there's a million issues that people could say, well, this is more important, but the majority of American people, between the border and the economy, think those are the most important things to address right now. And she's
Right.
voting with the Democrats on those issues. So so the site it's the clerk of the House. So if I'm not sure the exact and it's probably so simple that like I said that it's clerk.house.gov and then you so yes, it's clerk.house.gov. And if you go right to clerk.house.gov, right now it says House floor activity today. And literally right on the home page at clerk.house.gov, you'll see 559. There was a debate here, everything. And then you will see if there was a roll call vote. So they'll tell you House resolution, what the number is, and then you could click on it. So,
Perfect.
yeah, and I don't know, Charles, if you can do that and click share screen or something, you could show them that. But anyways, it's pretty simple. You go right to the home page there, and then like I said, you can click.
I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, I don't want you to lose the whole thing here, Charles.
Exactly.
That would
But hey,
be just our luck.
get this though, right here. Hi guys. What do you think?
Okay.
This is
Hi
Timothy Huff.
guys.
What do you think? Let's get Donald Trump to
Yeah.
do a rally, the Great New York State Fair 2024. But listen, Mario, I don't know if you saw it or not, but I did throw out a thing to get people's feedback on doing a Trump rally here in New York. All right.
It'd be
yeah,
a
that
good
would be
place.
awesome.
To do a
Well,
Trump
look,
rally.
if things are right, he might be picking a VP from New York, and he's been saying a lot of the time that he thinks that New York is in play. And I mean, you know, we know we got upstate, and thankfully, if you look downstate, Staten Island is a lot of Italian Americans. It goes red. You know, it's the only borough in New York City where you send people that are Republicans to city council in New York, and where the people in charge down there are Republicans. So
Isn't
a lot
Long
of people
Island?
are surprised. So Long Island too, but at least but only certain parts. But Staten Island's actually, you know, one of the 5 boroughs of New
Okay.
York City,
Right.
and it's Republican. So like a lot of people just assume the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, oh, it's all Democrats. But you
That's
have a
what I thought.
sizable population of Republicans down there. And yeah, and then like you said, out on Long Island, those votes are there. Look at Lee Zeldin was elected down there. Even George Santos got elected down there, and a part of his district was in New York City. So we got more voters down there. And look what Zeldin did. You know, it was 52 to 47, 5 or 6 points. New York was a toss up. So I think with the turnout that Trump's going to get, if he picks a VP from New York State, you could really see this being play. And that's where you would see him doing a rally. If you see Donald Trump in the late summer, you know, in August at the state fair doing a rally, that's a really good sign. That's a really good sign, because that means we're actually fighting for New York. And if we can win the presidency in New York, we took our country back, because you won't have to worry about Arizona and everywhere else.
All right.
If New York's in play, go ahead.
All right. No. What the thing is, I threw a thing out there to try to get people's feedback on doing a Trump rally here in New York, and try to find a location and stuff like that to see what kind of feedback I would get. On I put it on Save New York. It's actually up. I pinned it on the top of Save New York.
Right? What kind of feedback did you get?
I'm getting feedback, but it's all about location. And I know we can get good speakers. I know we can get good speakers at this. And I'm thinking of eastern part of Monroe County, more centralized in New York, like and stuff like that. But we can get good speakers. But if we can make it big enough, can we draw Trump in? If we can make a big enough event, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
For like June or July.
If we can win on June 25th in this primary, I know that we'll have President Trump support 100% in this race. There's no question about that. So maybe I'll see what I can do.
That would be awesome. That would be great.
I'd like to get a group of people together and really discuss this and get it going. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we can't guarantee Trump.
Talk to Andrew Giuliani, right?
Yeah,
I have been. But anyways,
yeah.
and I'm gonna message him again. But anyways, so yeah, people are on here. Questions, people. Ask Mario the questions. Let's get the questions out there so he can answer them for you.
That's why we got him on.
That's right. It's a Q&A night. Let's go.
Yeah, I wish they would make it a little more public when I share these posts. Like if I share a picture, of something or like a family photo on Facebook, they'll let, thousands of people see it and we'll get hundreds of likes. But if
Yep.
I share anything where I tag another page or I do something, almost nobody sees it. Brett said Trump needs to stop endorsing rhinos. I think a big problem, with some of these endorsements has been that they're people that have supported him in the past and he's supported. And what I will say that I've always admired about President Trump is that he's a very loyal person. If you don't turn on him and you're loyal to him, he will be by your side till the end. And if you're the last person there and everybody in the room's telling him, get rid of this person, turn your back on this person, he will not do it.
Right.
So I think that a lot of these people, he supported them, and then they started to really take some bad policy, some bad votes. They take a turn, and he's not turning on his friends, and he can't control the way they vote. Like I'm not going to blame him for Claudia Tenney's votes and everything else. I think that, like you said, if you listen, she talks, the game. He knows what people want to hear, and I'm sure she's told him what he wants to hear. Except that she wouldn't endorse him for over a year, which I'm sure he did want to hear, and she couldn't muster up the courage to say that.
But you know what happens. You know what happens. You know what happens a lot though. Like when they're voting for stuff, is that they know who's going to vote for what. So a lot of times they'll sit there and say, "Oh, I'm not going to vote for that because that's not constitutional." But they already know that they're going to They know what the outcome's
it's all
going to
done
be
in advance.
They know what the outcome's going to be
anyways.
They do that to make themselves look good.
Right.
It's pathetic.
Right.
But anyways, here's another what's going on with this here.
Have you thought about putting your message in the local penny savers? Many people read them. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to advertise. It's just about being efficient, and I guess it's more like for timing. So right now, a lot of people are not tuned into these races. They're not really paying attention because they're watching still the presidential primary. And then once that's settled, which in my mind, Trump already won from the beginning, but we will consider other sources. Mario, where are you from? I'm from Geneva, in Ontario County. So I've been born and raised here. I lived in some other places, but came back. My family's been here on my mom's side, 5 generations. My son actually is the 6th generation in this town. How did I decide to run? Good question. So back in 2020, I had a YouTube channel that's still like shadow banned on YouTube. If you go on YouTube and you type my name in, you'll only find videos on other people's channels. But like I had a video that I put out during the
That's crazy
COVID pandemic, about Dr. Fauci and how he was supporting certain drugs that were basically they were getting funding to the National Institute of Health from the drug companies. And then Fauci was saying they're really good, that remdesivir.
Yeah.
And I was like, remdesivir wasn't as good as hydroxychloroquine. And he said, hydroxychloroquine, we got to wait and see and all this stuff. So I put out this video on him and it got like 40,000 views. And my channel started doing well. And then right after January 6th, my channel got they went and started pressing buttons on people. And, it basically from there, instead of me getting 3,000 or 5,000 views on a video, I'd get 300. And they were removing my subscribers. So I started thinking about what could I do to get my message out? Because at that time I had a Facebook page too called Making the Case, which was linked to my YouTube channel. And I had 6,500 followers there. I had over 15,000 subscribers on YouTube. Everything was taking off nice. And the same thing happened on Facebook. Instead of I was getting 300,000 to 500,000 impressions on a post.
Wow.
With only 6,500 followers. They were just spreading. And then after January 6th, I was getting 300 to 500. So literally 1,000 times reduction on my traffic. So I was thinking, man, I must be over the target. I must be saying the right things, because now you got Facebook shutting me down, YouTube shutting me down. Same thing was happening on Twitter. I was getting, hundreds of subscribers every month and building up to thousands, and then they got cut in half. Everything started going downhill. So I was thinking, what could I do? And I said, you know what, I'm going to run for office. It doesn't, obviously I'm going to try to win, but even if I can't win, they won't be able to censor this message. I want the people to know what's happening, and I'm going to try to fight for these issues. So I was strongly considering doing that, and then my wife got pregnant. And when she got pregnant, I was like, there is no way I'm going to raise my son in this world and sit back and say to him someday, 10 or 15 years from now, well, you were born, it wasn't good timing for me and your mother, and work, and if you want excuses, you'll find them everywhere you look.
Yep.
And I didn't want to be that woulda, shoulda, coulda guy with my own son and think that, well, it just wasn't good timing. So I took the opposite approach, and I said, I'm going to look my son in the eye someday, 10 or 15 years from now, whether I won or lost, and say, buddy, I tried. I told the people everything I could. I didn't hide anything. I told them everything that was happening out there, and they stopped me. But so what? And that's what my dad taught me. My dad was a boxer, and he didn't win every fight,
Nope.
and he told me all that mattered at the end is that he left it all in the ring. That when he came back down those steps, he wasn't sitting there the next morning like, could I have done this? Could I have done that? He emptied the tank. He threw everything he had. And if you lose, you lose. But I'm not going to sit back and just let him take our state and take our district and just hand them over to these career politicians that have just been destroying us. They could care less. And that's why you see politicians like Claudia Tenney that'll move 100 miles one day, 100 miles the next day, 100 miles again, running 4 different. She's run for Congress in like 30 out of 62 counties in New York State in 4 different districts. Whatever. It's just
chasing the money.
There's only yeah, and we've had enough people like that are in it for themselves. And what's funny enough is all her supporters say that about me. If you go read some of these people in some of these groups that keep supporting Claudia, and they're they actually post screenshots every time they donate to her to rub it in my face. And I'm thinking, she's getting her money from JP Morgan, and I just saw her financial report now, Verizon, AT&T, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, you name it. But we're getting money from regular people. But I'll just say, I see these people doing that, and then they try to badmouth me and say, oh, you're only running for money and to get yourself to you're going to sell your seat when you get in there. And I'm thinking, where are you getting this from? It must be something you guys already know about, because that's the last thing on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I could care less about the money. What I care about is trying to do something that actually helps people. And these people, that's all they're there for.
That's hilarious. That is funny.
You got a bunch of people asking questions here now. I don't know if you can see that part, but
okay.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this real quick, though.
Sure.
I thought about it like 2 minutes ago. I lost it. I got the Bidenitis going on, but let's get to the questions. All right. Let's get what people are, let me get to what people are saying here. All right. I mean, because they're adding up here.
Help you, Bikers for Trump, New York.
Right.
Yeah, Bikers for Trump are great. If you guys want to reach out, message the page. I had a Rumble. I haven't used it in forever, but I might have a couple videos up on there if you search my name on there.
All right. What I was going to ask you was about the last time you ran against Claudia Tenney. You did very well. Let people know how well you did.
Yeah, so I mean, we got over 40% in a 3-way race, and it was, nationwide, dollar for dollar, we were the most successful campaign of any challenger, and there was over 550 challengers in these races, because even though there's 435 members, some of these races have 3 or 4 or 5 people in them. So there were 550 people running in races where there was an incumbent, and dollar for dollar, we were number 1 in the country for the amount of money we had with the amount of votes we got. So it's just sad that it comes down to that. I mean, I think we spent $8 a vote. She spent over 200, and we almost won. What counties in the 24th have endorsed you? As of right now, no counties have endorsed us. It's still early on, but She has a couple endorsements, but it's between the Republican Party and the Conservative Party right now. We don't have any endorsements. Last time we had a few. We had Seneca County Conservative and Republican, and then we had Genesee County Conservatives, and we had Ontario County Conservative Party.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, the people on her page that are bashing you, if they knew about clerk.house.gov, maybe they would know the truth about her and not come on your page and say bad stuff or whatever. So somebody should put that on Claudia's page.
Yeah, and what's funny is she says she explains every vote she takes, but the ones where she voted for amnesty or taxpayer-funded sex changes or whatever she's voted for, those votes are surprisingly not in there. So those are the ones that don't get an explanation.
Wow.
Timothy, what can we do to help? Honestly, guys, volunteer or donate. If you can donate money, that's great. We really need it. That's the only way we're up against a machine where, last time she had over $3 million for the cycle. We had less than 200,000, and half of that money that she raised, 1.5 million, came from corporate PACs. So Goldman Sachs, Verizon, Google, AT&T, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, BlackRock. They're funding these campaigns. Yeah.
Really?
And the Coke Industries too. The same people that are behind Nikki Haley are behind Claudia Tenney.
The Koch brothers,
and that tells you everything you need to know. Yep.
The Koch brothers, right?
That's incredible.
She's received over 40,000, I think, from the Kochs. So it's like that's like a quarter of our whole campaign. It's really bad. Yeah, we did. Wayne County, we won by over 22 points. I think we won 14 out of 15 towns in Wayne County, and they just went and endorsed Claudia Tenney. So
really, just right now they did, or recently?
Yeah, last week.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, man,
that's crazy. Yeah. That's really crazy.
Absolutely MAGA and proud. I was at Trump's inauguration. I was at rallies. I've been on board since day one. If you can't get on board with making America great again, then I don't think you have a place as a Republican. I think that message and what he started and what we're going to finish in November is the only message we should be putting out right now.
I can say this. I met Mario a couple of years ago, and I'll tell you what. Within just the first few minutes, it was like, this guy's real. This guy's real. The stuff he was talking about is like, this guy knows. He knows what's going on. He's real, and he's a blue collar guy. He's not establishment crap. He's a blue collar guy, and he wants to make change. And when we talked about,
and you want to know something, Charles?
Hold on, real quick, Mario.
The worst part about it,
Mario, you actually missed some kind of Republican something because your son was being born or something like that, or explain that just real quick to people.
Yeah. Last time it's my wife. So I was, if you're familiar with the geography for the district, I'm in Geneva. I was going to Oswego County to try and win the endorsement, and my wife calls me, and she was working at the time in Victor, so she's the opposite direction. 40 minutes from Geneva. I need to go an hour the other way. Just got my suit on. I'm going to open my car door to head to Oswego, and she calls me, said she thinks she's having contractions, and she was like almost 6 weeks early.
Wow.
So I said, oh, well, maybe it's something. And then she was crying though, and I said, all right, you're going into labor. So they took her to the hospital, and I called Oswego and said, I got to go be with my wife. I can't. It's that, and what's funny, in that moment, I didn't even have to stop and think. And I thought about it. If I even had to think about it, then I don't need to run for office. If I'm somebody that could consider, well, maybe I could go to this endorsement meeting instead of go be with my pregnant wife. And the scary part is, I think a lot of people in office would do that.
Would have done it. Yeah.
So, yeah, that exactly. And it's one of those things. But like you said about blue collar guy, this morning, me and my brother out there at 7:00, the sun's not even up yet. We're unloading a truck with the forklift. We're moving around 4x4s and stacking up stone. And it's honest work. But Wayne County, one of the I think it was the conservative party, I know it was the chairman there, said we sent Mario Fratto back to his forklift when I lost the primary. And I was thinking, why do you want to put down like working class blue collar people when if you're a conservative, you're a Republican, you're supposed to represent us, not mock us, not make a joke out of what people have to do for a living. Not everybody can sit inside an office all day and have meetings at a country club. You know, some of us actually got to work, and it's just ridiculous to me that they want to trash people just for having real jobs.
There's a question for you.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I will say I think I know who you're referring to. It's not Nikki Haley, but the best thing we can do to win this race is to have people volunteer or donate money. Because if you can donate your time and help us and get petition signatures and knock on doors and hand out stuff and work a table at a fair or whatever you can do, that helps. But if you can't do that, honestly, if it's $5 or $10 or $15, whatever you can do, that's how we're going to win this race. Because we only need a couple thousand votes, So I think we really got a real shot.
Mario, I think she might be talking about the governor.
There's another one.
That's the real Wicked Witch of the East, right there. But go ahead. I think
there's a lot of talking about. There's a lot of people that could fit that description, but honestly, I can't believe that Hochul got reelected. I still don't believe that. I think she was never elected to begin with. Nope. If it was Cuomo, I might have believed the results. But the fact that it was her who had never been elected to come in there, it was our perfect opportunity to win. And then they just tell us, well, we're it's New York, so how could a Republican win anyways? And we just swallow it. Why would Trump endorse her? We need Mario Fratto for Congress. I touched on this a little earlier, but I would just say that, look, he hasn't endorsed her in this race right now. He has not come out and said to vote for her while she's against me. So I think that's good. But I think last time it was just she was somebody that was loyal to him, and she's playing the political game. She just nominated him for a Nobel Peace Prize. So he's sitting there probably thinking, I guess I got to endorse her. I mean, she's it's just it's one of those things. And it's like, he doesn't know really who I am. He just peeked at the race briefly, and they say, well, this is somebody who supported you for years. This is a guy that just came on the scene. That's how he is, but I think we're going to win this time. And I'm positive. Look at Lauren Boebert. She ran against an incumbent. I think it was Scott Tipton when she got elected a couple of years ago. Trump had endorsed him. The second Lauren Boebert beat him in the primary, Trump called Lauren Boebert, congratulated her, and she's been on the Trump train ever since. So he's not one of those guys that's going to hold a grudge about that. I'm sure that the night we win, if he doesn't call us, the next day somebody from his team's going to reach out and say, welcome aboard. We appreciate having your support. It's not personal, it's politics.
Mm-hmm. Politics is a funny game, that's for sure.
Stoves, Mario, stoves.
We can't let them take our stoves, and we're not going to let them. They're passing all these laws, but I think it's a fundamental right to be able to cook food in your house. And for somebody, people talk about staying out of people's bedrooms. Stay the hell out of the kitchen. Like, stay. Come on. You're gonna tell my mother that she can't make sauce on a gas burner on Sunday, because she's got to use an electric stove, and then it's gonna stick to the bottom of the pan because you can't regulate the heat properly.
Yeah.
No way. You're not taking my Sunday dinner away, Kathy Hochul. Not happy with the Republican committee in Wayne County. Well, quite frankly, I'm not happy with them either, but I just think the saddest part for me is if you're a Republican committee, you should be looking out for the Republican voters who put you there, who are the people that you're going to knock on their door and ask them to support you. So you should support the people that they want in office. And in somewhere like Wayne County that we won so big, I would think they would have wanted to endorse us, Dennis says the vote was stolen here too. Hochul was installed, not elected.
Yeah.
the people that are doing the audit, the vote, and citizens audit and everything with New York, they're doing a really good job with that. I saw one of their presentations recently somewhere I was speaking, and they're finding out how many hundreds of thousands of people are on the voter rolls that shouldn't be, or they're somehow on there twice under different addresses. So there's so much stuff going on that we're finally getting wise to that stuff. Hopefully we can do something about it sooner than later, because we're never going to win another election if we can't have an honest system.
Right.
I'm pro-life. I'm pro-life. I think that I'm seeing the question here. How do you feel about abortion? I know it's a very touchy subject for people. A lot of people don't want Republicans to touch it, and they're saying, well, we better just stay out of this. And but I think that you have to go with your values and your beliefs. It's not about taking away from somebody else. It's about protecting the ones who can't protect themselves. And that's the most vulnerable. When the Titanic was sinking, they said women and children first, because they knew that they need the help, and the men got to toughen up. And it's like, I think us as men need to fight for those little girls and little boys too. And, bottom line. And that's why I had a problem when Claudia Tenney voted twice to send over $500 million to Planned Parenthood. It's over $1 billion. And she said, well, that money's not used for abortion. They're the largest abortion provider in the country. And if you're paying to keep their lights on and pay their staff, then what do you think they're doing with the money they're saving? It's going to the same place. So I can't support that either. State legislatures make voting laws. Oh, how do we go from voting machines to paper ballots? I think that that's a great question, and it is the only way that we're going to get a sure thing when it comes to the vote counts. We did it that way for hundreds of years. That's hundreds of years, and we got the right answers. We knew who the president was that night or early the next morning. We didn't say we'll stop counting, and then we got this coming in, then we got to do that.
Then we don't find out for a week later. We don't find out a week later. Go ahead.
Well, I think the key is, for whatever you want, is to elect the people that say they're going to do that. And if they don't do it, vote them out. Just like people keep saying they want term limits. They want term limits. They talk about all the time. Well, somebody like Claudia Tenney goes and signs a pledge for term limits, just like I did. And then once she gets elected, she doesn't sponsor the bill that she said she would. She introduces her own bill that it's going to allow you to stay for 48 years in D.C. in Congress, and says it's term limits. And then she says, when she gets caught, oh, the voters are uneducated and don't understand politics. So these are the people we're sending there, and they get away with it. And we prove them right, that they're just not held accountable. So if somebody says they're going to support term limits and they don't do it, vote them out. If they say, I'm going to put whether you do it nationally, which I think they have a right to, the federal government doesn't like to get involved in how states carry out their voting, even for federal elections, which machines they're using, how many days of early voting they allow, all that sort of stuff. They like to leave to the states. And normally, I am a states' rights guy. I'm a Republican. I believe in the federal system as it is, that the states should have more power than the federal government. The closer it gets to the people. I agree with that.
The 10th Amendment.
Exactly. Yeah. And right. Everything else is reserved to the people, which is the states, all the other powers. So I agree with that. But I also think there's certain things like the Second Amendment where they shouldn't leave it to the states. They should say, you can have constitutional carry. Every state should have a very liberal, and by liberal, I mean open, gun policy, not left wing. But they need to just say, I think Montana has really lax gun laws, but take a state like that and say, that's the nationwide standard now. It's a constitutional right. So you can't change your constitutional rights based on what state you're in. And I think that they need to do something like that with the elections. The scary part is who's in charge, right? If the federal government is run by people like Biden or his handlers, whoever's in charge, and they start pushing policies. What if they say, we want to put in a policy that it's all Dominion voting machines for all 50 states, and that's the new federal standard? So we need to make sure that it's going to be paper ballots. You count them all that night. The Republicans and Democrats are both present. They have to sign off on the total at every precinct, and then they get sent to the county and sent to the state, and we get our results. You
All
know,
right.
the bottom line, it can't be these machines anymore.
All right. This comment up here because it says communist nations use paper ballots. I'm trying to figure out what point you're trying to make here, shaking up Rogers.
Well, I think in the sense that even communist nations do that, not that it's a bad thing, but it's like even the ones where they say the fix is in, they have it because it's even easier to rig a machine or to say, oh, this is what it says. In order to cheat with paper ballots, you have to have people on both sides cheating. But to cheat with the machines, you could just have one person in a
But
different location
but
that
don't we
comes
have
in and changes the whole thing.
people on both sides cheating? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the sense that, yeah, I mean, look, I don't even know what happened in my race. I mean, who's overlooking that? I don't know. I'm not saying that they did anything, but if it's a Republican primary, the Democrats aren't going to say no. I think Mario Fratto really won, not Claudia Tenney. They don't care who wins our primary. So if the machine's behind her, I don't know what's happening. And it is scary to think about. But you have to hope. You have to hope that there's people that are actually honest out there. Um, First, thank you for running again. Thanks, Nathan. Second, what are your thoughts on school choice? Well, I think that the taxpayer money, needs to follow the student because these schools are failing big time. Just look at my own city of Geneva. The last I knew, we had over a $60 million school budget for the students here. It came out to over $28,000 per student per year. The Catholic school, the private school, was $7,000 a year. So it was a quarter of the cost, and they were performing better on exams than the public school students. So if you're spending quadruple the money and getting worse results, that means it's not the money, it's that these schools are failing.
Yeah.
It's the schools themselves, whether it's the teachers they're hiring, whether it's the stuff they're teaching the kids out of their curriculum, but whatever it is, they're not learning math and reading on the proper level. And with a lot less money, private schools are doing a better job. So if you're a parent who's paying property taxes and it's $5,000-6,000 a year for your school tax, and that's going to the school system, and you say, man, with 5 or 6 thousand, I could send my kid to this private school for the year. Maybe I want that money to go there. It would make competition where you would see the public schools would have to step up, or they're not going to get the funding because the parents are choosing to send them other schools. So I think school choice is absolutely necessary, or your children are going to be trapped in a failing system.
They keep rolling in. I'm sorry,
Um,
Mario. I
yeah.
know
Do you
you said
think
you
New
said you
York
didn't have
polling place?
you said something
Yeah,
about
I'll see
you have
if I'm
about a
getting
half
a
hour.
message. My wife's gonna. Uh, let's see. Okay. Yeah, I'm almost gonna wrap here. I told it's my father-in-law's birthday, and I was like, I'll be about a half hour. Now I'm 48 minutes in. Uh, I got too close to an hour now. But do you think New York polling places should be connected to the internet? Wow, that's a wild question because on the one hand, if we could see what was going on, if you were saying connected as in everybody could be involved, but to simply answer your question, no, because if the polling places connect to the internet, that can be hacked. There can be problems with that. But I think if there was like live streams in every polling place where it was blurry enough that you can't actually zoom in and see whose vote is what and get people's private information, but if you could just see everybody in any precinct that we could watch and see, hey, there's boxes coming in, or what was that guy doing? I think you'd have a better idea. Yeah, I'll definitely do this again, Timothy. Thank you guys for having me on. If there's anything
Absolutely.
else, you guys, to wrap up.
All right, Mario, what do you think of this? How about you and Claudia Tenney come on here for a debate? We've never done that
Would
either.
love to.
What do you? What?
We've
Perfect.
tried. We've had debates scheduled where we were both going to speak, and then they said, "Well, hey, let's just make it a debate." And all of a sudden, she was no longer available.
All right, I'm calling it out
So
now.
we were.
Claudia Tenney, if you want to do a debate with Mario, let's do it here on Save New York. If you're a conservative like you claim, if you want to save New York, let's do it. I'm calling her out. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'd love to. I think, hey, she's the one that said we owe it to the voters. They deserve to see both people and put their ideas, and it's the most
Yep.
democratic thing you could do. Until she doesn't want to debate, now it's not a good thing. But yeah, we're gonna push for it. we'll try. And look, I just say thank you guys. I appreciate coming on here. I love all the questions. Thanks everybody who tuned in. I'd love to come back and do it again. And if you can, go to marioforcongress.com, make a donation or sign up to volunteer and let people know. You know, we only lost by a few thousand votes out of over 32,000 votes. We don't have a big hill to climb. We just need the people to turn out. And if you can't, you know, donate, volunteer. I appreciate it, guys.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what counties are supporting you. It matters what people are supporting you. Really.
Exactly.
Really
I
what it
think we're
comes
going to
down
win Wayne County bigger than we did last time. You know, it's not about the party, it's about the people that make it up. And the Republican voters are the best people in the world. You know,
Yes.
I've been all over the world, and I can tell you that American registered Republicans, conservatives, but right-wing voters in America are awesome. You know, it's the politicians in there that make us look bad. We're not Mitch McConnell. We're not Kevin McCarthy. Those people got nothing in common with us. Hundreds of millions of dollars in their country club lifestyles, but we're the working class people that make this country what it is. And I know the people are behind us.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to let you guys down.
All right,
Thank you,
Mario. I'll
guys.
tell you what. I got last couple comments real quick. Mario, love the guy. He is really America first. He's not a rhino. He's like for the people. He loves the country. He loves the state, and he wants to do best with what's going on. And he can't be bought. I've known him for a couple of years. We've spoken a lot about a lot of different subjects. Love the guy. Tell you right now, Mario for Congress. Got to do it.
Got to
Thanks
do
so
it.
much, Charles. John, thank you.
All
guys.
right. Yes, sir. Have
I'll
a good
see you
night.
soon.
Yep. We'll see everybody
Take care,
next week.
gentlemen.
All right. Take care, Mario. Next week we're gonna be we're
Thank
gonna have
you.
Will Fiacco on next week. We'll have Will on next week.
Yep.
You're in the spotlight now.
Wow, I'm in the spotlight. Yeah, I talked to Will today for a little while.
Hold on. I didn't end the stream yet.
I
So,
wasn't gonna say anything
right.
anyway, but
No, I just want to let people know that we'll have Will on next week. So
okay.
okay, now I'm ending the stream and we'll talk to you guys later.
Have a good night, everybody.